Hey guys, Doc Apocalypse here, back again for take two on Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Day 4 spoilers. Um, I got the first 14 cards done and uploaded, so hopefully these ones go a little bit quicker. For the first one, we've got Born to Drive. It's 2 and a white for an enchantment aura. Enchantment, artifact, or creature. As long as an enchantment permanent is a creature, it gets +1/+1 for each creature and or vehicle you control. Has channel for 2 and a white, discard Born to Drive, create 2 1/1 colorless pilot creature tokens with this creature cruise vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. So it would be able to power a 3 crew or less for each one of those pilots. This is a solid little booster for the vehicle decks that they seem to be really wanting us to play. And being able to enchant a creature, getting a +1/+1, or a vehicle, giving it a +1/+1 for each vehicle that it has or creature, that's really good. And you could just, if you're playing this in standard or limited, if you got 2 of these, you can channel one. If you've already got one of these out, or you could channel the first one and then play the second one when you finally get it from the top of your deck. And those colorless pilots will count as creatures as well, giving you 2 extra 1/1s. I like it as a limited card. It's never going to see Commander play, probably. I mean, you never know. There's going to be a vehicle deck in Commander now, I'm sure. So let's go ahead and move on to the next card. This one's Reality Heist. This is pretty cool, actually. It is 7 CMC, 5 and a blue for an instant. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. You look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 artifact cards from among them, put them into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This is good. This is Artifacts Matters all day, every day. This is going to see a lot. So this is better than so much of the current meta in Commander for artifact decks and whatnot. Because, yes, it is a little bit harder because you have to get around the blue instead of a 1 and a white, 1 and a blue, 1 and whatever. But being able to, paying 2 to get 2 cards is not as good as paying 2 to be able to look at the top 7 and pick the 2 best cards out of the top 7 that are artifacts. This is just really, really, really awesome, and it's going to see a lot of play. I don't see why it wouldn't. And it might be a little bit harder in Legacy and Modern, but it's definitely going to see limited and standard play, as well as Commander and other formats. All right, next one. This one is Striding Skyscraper. All right, this is a 8 mana artifact creature construct. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each modified creature you control. It has trample. Striding Skyscraper has hexproof as long as it is untapped, and it is an 8/8. That is wild. So if you've got a kind of go wide strategy with 1/1 counters, trying to put out 1/1s with 1/1 counters on them, this is free after you get 8 on there. It's literally a 0 mana 8/8 when you have 8 1/1s out there. This would be really cool in like a Scoot Swarm deck or something that and you have a way to put 1/1 counters on all your Scoot Swarms. This is really, really, really cool for a free 8/8. I just, yeah. And it has trample. So good luck blocking an 8/8 or killing it. We're just going to go ahead and move on to the next one. Next one is Noriki Yamazaki, the Poet. I really didn't want to read that one. I'm just going to call it the Poet. For 2 and a white, it's a legendary creature, human samurai with vigilance. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you may cast target enchantment card from your graveyard this turn. I really like this a lot. So this is just repounding down on that Boros samurai attacking alone, Voltron style, just maximizing the single attack and having your wall of samurais to protect, yourself from the snapback. I love it. I love it a lot. Being able to play to cast an enchantment from my graveyard, that turn, every time a warrior or a samurai attacks alone, that's great because even if it dies, I can still pull an enchantment out and put it on one of the creatures or whatever. That's just awesome. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. Alrighty, another saga. I thought I had them all. I was wildly wrong. There is a lot more sagas. So this is the restoration of Inganjo. Alright, it's 2 and a white. First one is search your library for basic plains cards, reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle. Step 2, you may discard a card. When you do, return target permanent card with mana value 2 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. That's a little slow. It's a little hard. And that's going to be the biggest drawback to these sagas is how slow they are. And on step 3, you exile this saga and flip to its backside. Its backside is Architect of Restoration. Wow, it's late. Enchantment creature is a fox monk with vigilance. Whenever Architect of Restoration attacks or blocks, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. It's a 3/4, so it's got decent stats, especially for its original cost. It's just so slow. It doesn't have haste, so you're not going to be able to play it out and as soon as it comes onto the battlefield, be able to attack with it. So it's just a blocker at first. You have to wait a whole nother turn to be able to attack with it. At least it has vigilance, so you've got the potential to be able to get 2 1/1 colorless spirit tokens in one round, basically, if you're playing in a 2-person format. So it's not the worst. It will see play, but it's just so slow for these sagas that I don't know how well this is gonna do. We'll go on to the next saga, which is Tribute to Hirobi. It's a 1 and a black. So this one's a little weird. The first 2 steps are punishment. All right. So step 1, each opponent creates a 1/1 black rat rogue creature token, and then they do it again on the next step. Finally, you get to exile this enchantment, which you'll be very thankful for at that point. And you get Echo of Death's Wail. All right, this is an enchantment spirit creature, flying in haste. Whenever Echo of Death's Wail enters the battlefield, gain control of all rat tokens. So finally, if you're in 1v1 format, you get those 2 rat tokens back. And whenever Echo of Death Wail attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw a card. So you can sack those 2 rats every time he attacks. And the key word here is the haste right there, right? So it's a 3/3 with flying and haste. And so you play this out on turn 2. They get a rat. Turn 3, they get a rat. Turn 4, you get a 3/3 flyer with haste, and you get those 2 rats back. And you can attack. Chances are you probably will get through. And well, either way, you're gonna be able to sacrifice one of those rats and draw the card. And it's got flying, so it's got some evasion. So you might be able to get through and be able to do it again next turn and sacrifice that other rat. This is cool. It's gonna slide right into those Eye Twitch, Shambling Ghast, sacrifice decks that are out there already. There's definitely a home for them in there. And I wouldn't be upset about having a 3/3 flyer in those decks when you've got things like Eye Twitch that are just going to die, and that's really your only air stuff that you have. So this is a solid card. Next saga is Fable of Mirror Breaker. Wow. 2 and a red. First one is create a 2/2 red Goblin Shaman creature token with whenever this creature attacks, create a treasure token. That's really cool. Step 2, you may discard up to 2 cards. If you do, draw that many cards. So you get to rummage for 2. That's not too bad. I like it. That 2/2 Goblin Shaman creature token with whenever a creature attacks, create a treasure token. Whenever this creature attacks, create a treasure token. I like that. Getting paid back for playing this card is always good. All right. And then on the backside, I don't know if you can tell by the art or not, it is Reflection of Kikijiki. This is a safe Kikijiki Mirror Breaker. All right. Enchantment creature, Goblin Shaman with 1 and tap. So you have to pay 1 and tap it to create a token that's a copy of another target non-legendary creature you control, except it has haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Where the original Kikijiki Mirror Breaker just said tap, create a token copy, so on and so forth, right? And that was where the chaining can really get broken, where you can tap it, create a token copy of one that when it enters the battlefield, it untaps another creature. So you obviously untap Kikijiki, make another one, keep doing that back and forth, bam, 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 create a whole bunch of that one creature, and then swing in and kill everybody. This one's a little bit safer because you're going to run out of mana. I mean, unless you have a way to produce a ton of mana, you're going to need an infinite mana generator and this Kikijiki running at the same time, which is going to get shut down if you're playing in Commander. You can't really do it in Standard, not that I know of at least. So it's a safer Kikijiki, and I like that. I think that if your play group in Commander doesn't like Kikijiki because of how it combos off, and it's an infinite combo, and as soon as you get that combo, the game's over. This is a safe way to still be able to play a fun Kiki. Like, Kiki is just fun to play, and so being able to play one that says, hey, I can still create copies, I can still have fun with it, but I'm not going to run away with the game every time I get them. That's really cool. So, we'll go on to the next one. We got Brilliant Restoration. This is a 7 CMC, 3 and a white, 4 whites. Alright. It's a sorcery speed, return all artifacts and enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. And that includes artifact creatures and enchantment creatures because of their types. So this is expensive and it's hard to get because of the 4 white pips. But we see stuff like this in Commander already still with the... it's a 6 mana instead of 7, but it returns all artifacts and enchantments, so including your enemies, where this is just yours. This is just for you. So to pay that 1 extra white pip is awesome, to be able to just get your stuff back, to survive that board wipe, or not necessarily survive it, to recover from that horrific board wipe or that Vandal Blast or whatever. It is an awesome card, and this is definitely going to be seen in a lot of artifact and enchantment or enchantress decks in Commander. Will it see Standard play? I don't know. That 5 or 4 white is going to be hard to do in Standard with how aggressive the meta is. In Commander, at least, you've got 3 other people that are looking at each other too, not just you. So I love this card for Commander. I will definitely be picking up a copy or 2 of this. Next one is March of Reckless Joy. It's X in a red. For an instant, as an additional cost to cast this spell, you may exile any number of red cards from your hand. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. Exile the top X cards of your library. You may play up to 2 of those cards until the end of your next turn. So this is I'm getting flooded in my hand, and I got mana for days, but I don't have spells for days. All right, you've got 4 or 5 mana out already, and you've just burned through all of your spells. You got this. All right, you tap it, you pay the 1, you pop this out, and you discard 2, maybe 3 lands from your hand. 3 red lands, I might add. They have to be red, but 3 red lands. That gives you 6 cards. You exile the top 6 cards of your library, and until the end of your next turn, you can play those 6 cards. 2 of those 6 cards. So even if you discard just 1 red land, and you get 2 cards off the top, in the worst case scenario, you get 2 lands. Well, at least you fixed your land problem for the next turn, for the end of this turn and the next turn. So now you can play your land for turn, play your land for turn next turn. You've played those out of exile instead of out of your hand. So there's a million ways to use and abuse this. There's also ways to get screwed by it. You know, if you only exile 1 card and you don't pay any extra mana, you just pay the 1 trying to do what I just said, and then you get only lands, and you've already played your land for turn, then you basically just wasted a card. So yeah, it takes a little bit of planning, a little bit of working around, but this card is super duper fun, and it will see Standard play for sure. It is definitely going to be in the mono red decks. Next one is Invoke Justice. Just like we saw earlier, this is 1 and 4 pips of white. It's a sorcery speed. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then distribute 4 1/1 counters among any number of creatures and or vehicle target player controls. Wow, this is so good. So this can fetch back your Renin 7s, your all the new Dragon Spirits, your Azeka's Chariot, your anything, your Cultivator Colossus, your you name it. It can fetch it out of your graveyard, bring it back to the battlefield, and then you get to be able to put 4 1/1 counters on it. So you could even fetch up an Eye Twitch and put 4 1/1 counters on it. Now you have a 5/5 flyer for 5 mana. Like that's not horrible at all. And then when that 5/5 dies, you still get to learn again. So Invoke Justice, that 4 white is super daunting. But the more I see these 4 single color cards, the less scary they're getting to me. It still is hard. White is difficult to get a lot of, especially if you're playing in 2 color or more. If you're playing in 3 color, this is almost unplayable, because white just seems to magically be impossible to find. Even if it's the most common land color in the deck, you could have 12 whites and 4 greens and 4 reds, and for some reason you can find all 4 greens and all 4 reds before you find 4 whites. Don't know why that is, but so in a 2-color deck this is possible. In a mono white this is good, but again, do you want to be bringing back stuff in mono white? I don't know. Let's just move on to the next one. Alrighty, last card of the night. This is Hidetsugu Consumes All. Right, this is 1 in a Rakdos. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 1 or less. This gets rid of your Eye Twitches. This gets rid of all the tokens, like every single token, because they don't have a mana value. So it's going to clean out your Azeka's Chariot tokens, your Renin 7 tokens, all of it. And it's even going to clear out the land creatures that are like 10/10 land. So that's really cool. And then step 2, exile all graveyards. So now you get to graveyard hate every single graveyard and get rid of them. So that way you can get rid of all the flashback stuff, all the angel and the spirit stuff that went on in Crimson Vow and Midnight Hunt. That's really good. So now you kind of protect yourself. In step 3, you exile it and you get Vessel of the Allconsuming. All right, this is an enchantment creature, Ogre Shaman with Trample. Whenever Vessel of the All-Consuming deals damage, put a 1/1 counter on it. But more importantly, whenever Vessel of the All-Consuming deals damage to a player, if it has dealt 10 or more damage to that player this turn, they lose the game. And it specifically says 10 damage or more to a player this turn. It doesn't say combat damage. It doesn't have to attack and deal 10. If you have a way to deal 10 from Vessel to the All-Consuming to a player through instants and sorceries that say deal X amount of damage to player or planeswalker based on Vessel, or your creature does that damage to a player or planeswalker. If you can get that out, then this thing's gonna pump itself for 1, and if you've dealt 10, they lose the game and you win. Like, you don't win technically because if you're playing Commander, but this is wild. This is so wild. You can put +1/+1 counters on it with all sorts of crazy stuff. You can oh man, there's so many ways to like double its strength, to give it something like Charge Through, where you get +2/+2 and then gets Trample until end of turn. There's a whole bunch of ways to make this bigger, and then give it Double Strike. Put Charge Through, give it +2/+2, and then give it Double Strike. There's the game. You just won. So I really like this. The downside is that you have to go on turn 3, play this, and then you destroy all non-land permanents. Turn 4, you exile all graveyards. Then finally on turn 5, you get to be able to get him out. But he doesn't have haste. So without a way to give him haste, then you have to wait till turn 6 to actually attack with him. And at that point is a 3/3 with just with trample, not with flying or menace or first strike, actually able to get through. That's the question you're gonna have to ask yourself, and you're gonna have to think long and hard about what is the meta that I'm playing. Am I playing in paper where I know the people that I'm playing and what kind of decks they're playing, and you kind of got to metagame this, or am I playing on Arena and I'm gonna be eventually paired up with people that specifically can kill this, because Arena loves to metagame the crap out of you and put you against people that are gonna beat you. So that's that. Alrighty. So looks like we covered everything. This is all the remaining cards for Monday, the 31st of January. All right, this is the last 15. The first 14 are uploaded, and you should be able to see them. There's a link right over that way, like far side. All right. If you haven't seen the first video, we'll go ahead and watch that one. If you want to watch some other stuff, there's also a link up in the corner over there for the entire Kamigawa pre-release that I've done so far. And we will be adding videos every day through the rest of the week for spoilers. And then we're going to be doing the top 20, top 10 sleepers, the possible decks that we're going to do in the future. And just I will be doing a live stream where we go through every single color or every single card by color, top to bottom, all 300 and there's so many, 303 in the standard format, and then we might go through some of the alternate arts to evaluate them and rate them or whatever. It's gonna be a nice long live stream, that way everybody can hop in. But don't forget to like and subscribe. I forgot to plug that in the beginning, so if you haven't liked and subscribed already, that means a ton to me, and I really do appreciate you guys sticking around till the end. I know this is a longer video. We're at 22 minutes, going on 23. I try to keep them short for you guys. I try to explain as much as I can without droning on for an hour and a half and making this video intolerably long. So please, again, leave that like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below which one's your favorite. Mine is definitely Hidetsugu Consumes All, or the Fable of the Mirror Breaker. That's pretty fun too. I'm kind of growing on these Saga. I originally didn't like them too much, but they are cool. The 4 white things are super fun. Brilliant Restoration and Invoke Justice are gonna be super cool cards. I just don't. That 4 white is gonna continue to scare me for a long time. So we'll have to play with them and see what happens when they come out. But yeah, Hidetsugu is definitely going to be a killer. And then, yeah. Hope to see you guys on the next video. And as always, be kind and God bless.